Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, traders. Steve here at Logic FX Trading, and welcome to our trading room summary on Monday, the 6th of April 2020. Okay, listen, last week we were looking for a pullback and we put our alarm line on here. This is the Nikkei. We'll go through all of the indexes that we look at in a moment. We put an alarm line on and we said to look for a breakout. Now, guys, I'm not suggesting that this is the start of a big recovery. I don't think that's going to happen. There's still a potential for more downside, depending on how much damage has been done by coronavirus to the businesses and world economy. We're now officially in a recession, so there is the possibility of putting in new lows over the coming weeks and months, guys. But for the moment, and therefore I would suggest that you don't get into something here and hope that it's going to get away up there. I suppose one thing you could do is, if you did get into something here and got it away from your entry point and got your stop to zero, you could always hope that it didn't come back to that point, in which case you could stay in it and hope that it continued to go. The other way of looking at it is that you take your profits as you get them. In other words, if you get long here and it comes up into that area, maybe you take your profits in case it comes back off it again. At the moment, there's a lot of speculation around, guys, as to whether that's the bottom or not. Of course, there are plenty of people who are saying it is, but there are just as many people saying, hold on a minute, this thing is doing a lot of economic damage, and which could be a lot worse than the pull down we've had so far. I don't want to be definitive about it. All I'm saying is, structurally, we've had a breakout of that, we've had a correction of it, and we're starting to get a breakout of that. So that ordinarily would be a setup for me. Although I haven't traded this, folks. The Aussie, same thing. There's our alarm line from Friday. We were looking for a breakout. We've had a breakout. I wasn't as keen to get involved in this because I didn't like the setup. German, same thing. There's our alarm. It's gone off. French, there's our alarm line. It's gone off. UK hasn't quite gone off yet. Maybe. Yeah, it might have gone off and I've moved it, guys, but it hasn't gone off enough to call it a breakout, really. NASDAQ. The one thing we were thinking about this one was there was a possibility of getting something that would look like that before maybe coming long again, but it's bounced off that trend line and it's moving on up. I've repositioned the alarm line, but it was lower than that. We had the alarm line down across here and it has gone off. Yet again, I haven't got involved in any of these. I'm just trading very, very conservatively at the minute, guys. S&P hasn't opened yet, but when it does, I expect it to gap up through that alarm line, and the same with the Dow Jones, should gap up above that. So far as the dollar is concerned, there is a possibility that this is a zigzag here, with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this will falter and drop. That's the direction that I want to trade it in. Doesn't mean that that's the direction it's going to go in, but that's where I'll be looking for trades. Basically because I think that was overdone. The only reason that this would come high again would be if there was a worsening of the whole coronavirus situation. Now, I did mention earlier in the trading room we were talking about countries like Singapore, potentially China. What was the other one we were looking at? Sorry, it's out of the top of my head, but the Asian countries, the ones that kind of they're a little bit further on in the process than Europe and the US. They're kind of on the plateau part of the curve, and let's just draw this where you get your S curve, guys. There, they seem to be in that part. But there is a danger that whenever they start to release their lockdown measures, that you'll get another spike, guys. there was I read an article somewhere that Singapore was starting to see an increase in cases. I did say that Korea was, but I got that incorrect. Korea wasn't. And Japan are declaring a state of emergency, but I think that's them doing the same thing that the US and the UK has already done. In other words, they're basically going to release public funds to shore up businesses and personal incomes. So I can see more downside in the yen today. So I'd be more keen to trade the yen down than to trade the dollar down at the moment. But I do think the dollar will do that rather than that. But whether it does it exactly here, that's another thing, folks. So you can take that and put it into all of these. I'm looking for this to go long. I don't know that I'd necessarily get involved in it here. But I'm looking for that to go long. Potentially there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then from there we'll look for a pullback. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. I'm just saying there's potential. So far as oil's concerned, the negotiations haven't happened, guys. The meeting between OPEC and Russia hasn't happened. I didn't get to the bottom of the reason that it hasn't happened. Could be something to do with, social distancing and coronavirus difficulties. But it could also be they haven't got to the point where they think that it's the right time to sit down. Because generally when they sit down, the world wants to see an answer. And they come out and they go, right, here's what we've agreed. Maybe the backroom boys haven't got an agreement yet. There is a possibility that oil will come off here. Even technically, you would expect it to maybe drop a bit before going long again. So I'm going to draw that in there. Euro, I don't want to talk about. Not interested in the euro. The pound, I think the pound took a beating and it's on its way back up, but particularly against things like the yen. There's that same structure, more or less, that we saw with the dollar, but this one's a little bit more developed. Obviously, you don't want to get long here. Getting long down there somewhere would have been the better plan. If it breaks on up, then I would look for that pullback before maybe a pullback down into that level. If we get a push up here, pull back into that level, then from there maybe look to trade that long. Other things, Aussie yen, I think similar structure. Do you see it there, guys? I think this will go long. Aussie New Zealand, I think ultimately this will go long, but we could see a second leg of that down first, maybe down into there before it goes. I'm pretty sure that's the bottom, by the way, guys. Not Aussie CAD, not that CAD yen. Yep, I've been calling that long. There's my arrow. Obviously, we were a bit more zoomed in when I drew that, but there's my arrow for. That's not a target, guys. That's just saying that's the direction I think it will go in. So we're not saying it's going to there, but that's the direction it will go in, and it will take its own path to get there, whatever way it might look, guys. But I think it will get there eventually. New Zealand yen, same thing, guys. Looking for this to come up. There's our arrow from the way back down there. New Zealand CAD, no, not so much. Think they may balance each other out, especially if oil price goes long. You could see that pulling down. Don't be trying to trade it. Well, I wouldn't advise you to trade it. New Zealand Swiss, yep, it's another one I would expect to go long. Don't know that I'd want to get in there though, but eventually it should break out. Maybe this is the place to get in, but if you get in there, allow yourself a bit of distance, whether it's there or way back down there, for a stop loss, just in case it comes back down before it goes. Use your own trading strategy. CAD Swiss, I'm saying that because I'm releasing this on public, guys. My traders, you know how to trade that, folks. And CAD Swiss is another one I've been jumping in and out of, guys. Yet again, it's come up to there. I would like to see it pulling back from there. Don't know if it's going to, guys, just from a structural point of view, to get an entry point there to try and trade it on up. But I do think this, yet again, is going to go in that direction. Could bounce along a while because it's the CAD and because of the whole oil thing. If oil If oil drops, then this probably would come back down, but I think that's the bottom, guys. I don't see it coming any further than that. If it were to come back down, I would definitely be trying to trade it back up again, guys. Okay, that's it for today. I'll speak to you all again tomorrow. Bye for now. Stay safe. Stay in the house. Take care. Bye.